Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dax Hammer, and thank you for clicking on this video. And in this video, I want to talk about one of my methods of taking a sample or a loop and crafting it into something completely unique and different to make it distinguishable from the original. And I do this by using multiple plugins. Now, for everybody that wants to watch the tutorial, heads up. I'm gonna first discuss some theory and reasoning as to why I use the plugins that I use, and a bit of how they work. So if you'd like to watch the sound of how these plugins are applied, there's gonna be a timestamp that you can click on that'll take you right there. So the first plugin usually in my chain is called HalfTime by Cableguys. And honestly, it's a pretty inexpensive plugin for doing something that seems to be so simple. But the way that it could change a melody simply by time stretching it and pitching it down is what makes this plugin so powerful. And there's a lot of ways to change the sonic characteristics of a melody, such as adding distortion, filtering, time-based effects such as reverb and delay, and you can pitch a sample up or down to change the sound and the key, and a lot more things as well. And HalfTime has been the only thing that I've been aware of that can change where certain notes in your sample hit, essentially changing the groove. It could take a complex melody with maybe too many notes, pitch it down half speed, and if you adjust the loop timing in HalfTime, it could simplify the melody and truly make it sound like something different. So what I do, which I'll show here in a bit, is I will slow it down half speed, which will also pitch it down an octave. And then I'll find the right timing that works for me, and then I'll find a pitch after it's been slowed down that I think works best for the sample. And then I may adjust the band sliders to have the plugin only affect a certain range of frequencies. And then sometimes I'll use the mix knob to adjust the dry and wet setting and how much of the effect that I actually want. And most of the time it's the whole thing. And understanding how the loop timing works isn't necessary, but when you read up on it, it's actually pretty complex. The plugin samples a certain amount of the loop depending on the loop timing that you set, time stretching what is sampled and then ignoring other parts of the loop. And according to their website, they say to use the quarter, the half, and the 1 bar setting for the most interesting and unpredictable results. And the following plugins that I'm gonna discuss aren't in any particular order. Matter of fact, they actually might go before HalfTime. That is, if I'm looking to pitch down and affect the tone that some of the other plugins might give me. Now I'm using plugins that have multiple processors built into them, so I don't spend a ton of time trying to figure out all the different types of effects that I need to produce the desired end result that I'm looking for. See, I love to move fast, save time, and stay creative. So these plugins have a lot of processing going on under the hood and a lot of tweakable presets that will help me get that. So another plugin that I use often is Drip by Kyle Beats, but it doesn't work all the time. For example, if I'm sampling a real sounding piano, I may not want to change the timbre of the piano. I may not want to have it sound all spaced out and distorted. But if it's some kind of synth melody, then yeah, this plugin tends to bring a lot of life and character to the sound. But if the effect is too much for the piano, then I could apply the mix knob to get a little bit of the effect. That could work. And the last plugin that I use is the RC20 by XLN Audio. And this plugin is the sauce for getting that analog, cassette, old, grungy, beat up, messed up sound that we often hear in hip hop, trap, and lo-fi. This plugin is like cooking a steak and basting it with butter at the end. RC20 is the basting, it's the butter, that special analog texture that makes my loop sound so much better. So let's go ahead and dig into the plugin chain and get an overview about how some of these parameters in the plugins actually work, and then go more into depth of how I'm able to craft my own original and unique sound using these plugins. All right, so first thing I want to do is play you the loop to show you how it sounds before I add any processing to it. All right, so the first thing I have on here in the chain is HalfTime, and normally I'm gonna be operating in the quarter, the half, and the 1 bar loop setting. So let's start at half here and make sure everything is set back to normal and give it a listen. What's gonna happen is you're gonna hear pitch down an octave, and the tempo is gonna be halved as well. So let's give it a listen. So it's already a vibe. What I would normally do with something like this, if I were to keep it like it is, I might use it as an intro, and then, you know, when the beat kicks in, it'll play back an octave higher at maybe a faster speed, the original speed or whatever. But let's go ahead and see what it sounds like when I add drip onto this. Sounds fire already. So I just added a preset. It's an ice preset right here, and I have it set on like 50% with the mix knob, and that's what I got. Now what I normally would do is go back to the audio module here, which will affect the loop itself, and I might find a different pitch that I want to hear this in. So it brought it down an octave from the original, but I might want to find something in between that now. I'll go ahead and retune it in Machine. All right, so I tuned it up 5 semitones, and that's the sound that I like. And after that, I would go ahead and put on the RC20, which, again, like I said, it's the butter. It's the final texture. It's the thing that kind of makes my sound a little noisy and wobbly and distorted and lo-fi and grungy. So this is going to be the sound. It's a preset in RC20, Vinyl 3, it's kind of like my go-to. And then I can tweak the things as I may need, but this is usually how I'm using it. And that's pretty much that. I'll go back in a halftime and I might find something, you know, like a different way that it chops up the loop. So let's try a bar. What I'll also do is I'll go back to the audio module in Machine and I'll change the speed of the loop. So right now it's playing the original loop and having it in tempo. So it's 90, it's now playing at 45, 45 BPM. What if I sped it up to 180 and had it play back at 90? Let's give that a shot. I like that chop too. I might use that in a section of my beat. And this is what it would sound like without halftime on it. So you see how it just drastically changes the sound, the vibe, and it's just amazing. So what I could also do is take the mix of all these 3 plugins and essentially bounce it out and then affect the mix. So maybe I want to change the pitch from here. And I could even put halftime on again. And sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, the more I'm adding to the sound, the more I'm adding my own influence to it, which I always like. So I give this a shot sometimes and see. That's so different. Not that I think it's better, but it's different. So if I tune it up and maybe try to get those notes to be a little bit more recognizable. You could even mess around with the mix knob. I'm already hearing the 808 come in right there, and just this could be something else as well. And I would have never known that that loop that we were just working with all the plugins on, once we bounced it out, I would have never have known that this could be what it turns into. And honestly, it's almost night and day. Like you wouldn't even recognize it, which is cool. Like I said, it just kind of allows my influence to be on it a bit more, making it something more of my own. So That's pretty much what I'm doing to most loops. If I'm creating the melody, I'll do it to my melody. I'll add other things to the melody. I'll go on splicing, go crazy, and just start adding anything that's in the same key or repitch things to work with the loop. And then I'll start doing what I just did, and I'll create something completely different. And then I'll drag the audio into Logic or whatever DAW that I'm using and start chopping things up, pitching up, slowing down, and it gets kind of crazy. So that's my method. Now, sometimes I do keep things pristine and clean depending on the instrument that I'm sampling, but I'm mostly doing, boom bap, hip hop, trap, lo-fi stuff, and this is the stuff that, I think makes those genres sound the way that they do. So that's what I'm doing. If you found value in this video, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate that as well. I'm looking to drop a video a week, all regarding producing, mixing, all of that good stuff. And leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And what is your workflow? What do you guys use to change your sounds, make them more original and unique, something more of your own? Let me know. So until next time, may God bless you. Peace.